guys, welcome to Outlaw Edge. So today's video, what I'm going to do is I had some comments a while back. I've had like so many people ask about body hammers and the different uses for them. And I had somebody just a while back ask me again, hey, is there any way you can make a video on some body hammers and show the differences with the body hammers? This might be a long video. So you guys, if you want to stick around, that's fine. If you don't feel like it, I totally understand. I'm hoping that it's not going to be a long video. I might do a couple demonstrations with different hammers, but for the most part, I have so many hammers that I'm not even going to try to do like a full video on all the different hammers. Right now I have like probably 30 different hammers set up on the table. But what I'll do is I'll grab the hammers and I'll kind of show you and explain to you what they do and how to use them, and what the different uses are for the hammers. And a lot of them, you guys have seen me use these in different videos and whatever. The other thing is everybody always asks, what sheet metal do we use? What is the thickness when we're using when we're building body panels and stuff? And the thickness is 20 gauge sheet metal. That's pretty much the basic when we're building like the car behind me and stuff. But the other thing that I always get is they always ask, why do you always have yellow tape on all your hammers? Well, the reason we have yellow tape is we have 3 different shops, and a lot of times, like we had a bunch of workers in here before and would work with us and whatever, and we got rid of all of our workers. It just didn't work out. And what would happen is I'd end up finding my hammers at another shop or across the street at the body shop or wherever. And so eventually I just said, screw it. And one day I was in the body shop and I put some yellow tape on some of my hammers. And then when I built my hammer rack, or one of my hammer racks, I put all my auto body hammers that have yellow tape on it. That way I know if they're on the rack, or if there's one missing, or if they're somewhere else at another shop, or if somebody's going to, like Heidi is going to, beat a nail into the wall to put something up, and I see a body hammer in her hand. Well, then we're gonna fist fight. But so I put the yellow tape on there just to kind of distinguish, that they go, what hammers they are and where they go in the shop. That's really all it is. I'd like to do a video on the different kind of dollies that I have and the different style of body files and whatever. I'll probably do that as another video. I had a few minutes today. I was kind of frustrated with a panel and I'm trying to bead roll it, but I don't have anybody here to help me. So I just pulled off of that and I said, well, I'll go ahead and do a video real quick because a lot of people have been leaving comments about these body hammers. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the camera moved around, and then I'll show you the different styles that I got. Those of you that know me know that I have tons of hammers, and this is just a couple that I threw up on the table just to show you the difference. These are all just different styles of hammers. And what I'll do is I'll kind of go through and explain these. And like this one here was impossible to find, so I'll tell you guys right now, if you ever find one of these, buy it up, because this is a really hard hammer to find. This one actually took me about probably 20 to 25 years to find, no joke. Wow, my wedge is like slammed down in there. But anyways, I cracked this one the other day when I was using this on the shrinking stump. And I got to get a new handle for it. But anyways, enough of that. So this one right here, what I use this for is it has a lot of weight. You can see how much weight it is. It's a real heavy hammer. And I use this for forming tuck shrinks on the shrinking stump. And then this hammer here, this was actually what I'll do is I will go grab the piece and I will show you. I have my little scrap metal bin here that I use to make hammers and stuff out of. And here it is right here. So this hammer the other day I made, it was just a regular ball peen hammer like this. And what I did is I cut it off and I use this on the shrinking stump. And when I'm doing tuck shrinks, what happens, this is a shrinking stump here. I've had this for years. I made this a long time ago. But you put the metal down here, and when you come down like this, it puts a nice big shrink in the metal. And then you bring the metal up on this flat spot, and you can either use that end or this end and tap it flat, and then put another shrink in it and do the same thing over and over and over. So that's one of the reasons that I have that hammer. And I'm waiting to get a tuck shrinking hammer. I I think a guy's making me one. I'm not sure. I haven't got a hold of the guy. I've been waiting to, you know, it's been about 4 months. I've been trying to get one made, but he's probably busy. But anyways, so this is a lightweight bumping hammer, and this is just this isn't really to move metal around. This is to, you know, like if you have an edge or a little ding and you want to tap, 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 and this is really super lightweight. It weighs almost nothing in your hand. You have the round version here, which is pretty much used for everything, and then you got the square in here, and that's to get like into tight corners, into a square corner or whatever. And that's basically what that's used for. This here, and this is a panel hammer for doing door skins on car doors. And then you have a flat side, and you can see how wide it is. This is about almost 2 inch wide right here. And so is this one. Then it's got a flat spot on the top, and that's for coming down to put the door skins in, and then you use the dolly behind that door skin. And this one, I use this as a specialty hammer. I use the hell out of this thing. And this was the same hammer, but I cut it down. I took these ends off right here just to make it a little bit skinnier, and then left this side the same. And this one here, I have a lot of people ask about this hammer. I think this is the one they're talking about, and this is the elephant nose hammer, or whatever you want to call it. And this is also used for doing, you know, running a dolly on a door skin. And, you know, you'd be using it like this to do a door skin. And what it does is this big round weight right here will actually fold that door skin up into that dolly. So really handy hammer, but it's one of those things you only kind of use it every once in a while. But when you need it, you need it. So this one here, these are basically the same hammers. This is a Bondo brand, this is a Snap-on brand. And you can see how skinny this is and how lightweight this is. This one's real lightweight in your hand. It feels nice in your hand. You pick this one up, it's real heavy and bulky. And the reason for that is each one of them have different weights on the ends, or you can grind them to the different profiles that you need on the hammers. And like this one is real weighted to move metal. And this one is, you know, like medium weight, and that's to tap or move lightweight metal. And then you have another one, which is really, really skinny, and that's super light. And then, you know, that's just basically for tapping. This is a shrinking hammer, but that's kind of like snake juice. We won't even get into that. I did another video on that the other day. The whole shrinking thing with a hammer, I mean, I don't know. I'm not too thrilled about it. It's something that, you know, people talk about, but I don't know, whatever. I don't even know if it even works. On certain styles of dollies and whatever, you can get them to shrink and whatever with this hammer. But I don't know, there's certain, like on the corners I showed in one of my videos the other day on real severe corners, like if you were building a panel and you had a corner like this with two radiuses, you know, I can get it to shrink like that a little bit, but that's about it. That's what I use that hammer for mostly. These are pick hammers, and that's if you have like a little ding that's sticking out somewhere, you can just tap, tap, tap on that panel. And same with this one. And these hammers, I've seen people using them and they're so sharp, and they just leave them that way for years. Well, the hammers are made that when you buy the hammer, they're made so that you can mod them for the job that you need. You know, if you wanted to, you could just lop this end off and just use this side here, or lop this side off and use this side here, whatever. You know, don't be afraid to mod your hammers. And I say that all the time to people. So, you know, I got a million hammers, and that's what I do is I mod them all the time, or I'll take a couple hammers and weld them together and make one. But this one, you can see it has a end that comes down like this, and that's to get like into a tight spot, like in a corner. If you have a corner and you're tapping, 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 you're trying to get a spot down so that you can weld it or whatever. I mean, that's basically what that's for. And this one is a flat crown here. And then you have another hammer here, and if you look at it, it's got a radius crown. It's, you know, like a real easy radius on here. And then you have this one, which is, you know, straight across flat. And then this one is a nice big fat flat end, and that's a, you know, cross peen style hammer. And in a minute, I'll try to show you what I mean by that. This hammer, you guys see me use it all the time. I use that with a beater bag. And a lot of the times when I'm shaping metal, I'll use either this side for a real tight radius or this side for a real fat radius. If I want to shape a fender really fast and get a big wide panel made, I'll beat on this side. If I want if it's gonna be something with a real tight radius, I'll use this side here. I modded the handle on this one. You can see how it's all cut down. And all I did is I quickly put it in the saw and sawed this off because it kept turning in my hand. The round handles suck. So I like the flat spot on it, and now you can really hold on to it and not let go of the hammer. So this hammer, talking about modding hammers, I made this handle and I put it on here, and this was a sheetrock axe, and it is a whatever brand that is, wallboard. So it's a wallboard sheetrock axe, and it turned out really nice. And this had like an axe end right here, you know, so that you can, and a little pry bar deal where you can pry nails out, and then it had a little axe where you can cut through, you know, sheetrock or whatever, and then you hammer in the nails here. Well, what I did is I radiused this, and I cut some of it off, and then I took the axe part and I cut that off. So I modded this down to a body hammer, and it was literally like 25 cents or 50 cents at a yard sale, I don't remember. A lot of people will hate me for this, but I don't care. It's what I do. This is a Harbor Freight hammer. This is a Harbor Freight hammer. The fiberglass handles kept splintering, and I'd get splinters in my fingers right here where you're always hitting them on the edges of the cars and stuff. That's why the tape is kind of chewed up right there from hitting, like when you're, you know, smashing a fender or moving a fender around or moving a panel, you always hit that. Well, what happened is the fiberglass started splintering, and this Harbor Freight hammerhead flew off. Well, I had some snap-on handles, and they fit right in. They're perfect fit for those handles or hammers, and it actually makes a nice little hammer, you know. And you can see the radius that I cut in that, and that's a square hammer, and I radius that way and this way. And you can see that shape there, and that's like, you know, if you have a panel that you want to get in like this, that's what that's for. It's got that radius like this. Or if you're, you know, hitting it like this, you're not leaving marks in it. And then you have the crossbeam style on this side. And same one here. This was an old Harbor Freight hammer that I put a snap-on handle on. And then I radiused this side and this side. So I modded my hammers. This is a Martin hammer. Really nice one. It's got a funny feel to it. I don't really care for it, but I do like this one because it has like a I don't know how to explain it, like a slinging feel. Like when you get it going, it kind of it wings off the metal, or I guess that's how you would say it, I don't know. It kind of bounces off the metal, but I like it because it'll tuck metal into, you know, edges and corners like this when you have a dolly, and, you know, use that dolly with that metal behind it. It works really good. And then you have, you know, the little bit heavier one on this side, a little bit lighter one on this side. You got the small and the large on this side. This is a hammer that you use with those small anvils. Like you guys have seen the small anvils that I have. And, you know, these are actually used, like this one back here, this one, and this one. I think this is the one I probably use the most, but like Wayne Reynolds, thanks brother, appreciate that. He sent me this, I love this thing, it's one of my favorites. But, and then I got another one back there. But what those are used for is chrome strips on cars. You know, when you're using that little anvil and you got the chrome strips on cars, this is a little mini ball peen with a I just had it in my head, with a cross peen. I think it got all rusty. But this is used for taking dents out of the chrome. So you flip the chrome strips upside down, tap, 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 tap. If it's in a tight spot, if it's not in a tight spot, you flip it over and use that anvil down below. So, and then this one here is a snap-on hammer, and it's a flat on one side. And like I said, you can mod your hammers, you know, you can shape them any way you want. It's got the flat on one side, and this is a super long pick. And it was really sharp when I got it. And you can see I brought it down to almost nothing, so that it's just nice and soft. And that's when you're like in a panel in a car, and it's like a foot away or something, you know, you can get in there and tap that sucker with a dolly on the outside of the door or whatever. So you have that real long reach. That's all that is. And then this is another snap-on body hammer. And this is a shorty. And what this is for is, like if you have a panel here and a panel here, you know, you don't have a lot of room to swing, they cut this off so that you have, you know, you can still get that thing swinging when you're holding the dolly on the outside of the panel. when you're trying to, you know, take some dents out or whatever. Now this set, these three here were regular body hammers from Harbor Freight. I've had these for about probably 30 years now. This is the very first set of Harbor Freight hammers that came out, and I've had these like literally forever. And actually, here you go. This set here, yeah, it was like this. That was that set there. And you can see what I did is I cut it off and I made these into the shorty hammers. So if you're in a tight spots, and that's all that is. And you have the pick, the square, and the round. And then these two here, these were antique cobbler's hammers. And I got these, and what I did is I cut the end off and I modded these, so I got a heavy, and then I have a lightweight cobbler hammer. And I cut the ends off of them, polished the hell out of them. And these are for tight spaces. And then, you know, you can get in there in tight spaces. And this one has a lot of weight to it, so you don't have to swing it that hard. And it just works awesome. And then what I was saying about, you know, don't be afraid of modding your hammers. This hammer here, it goes this way. So this hammer here is the same as this one and this one. And you can see I cut these off right here. And then here I cut this one off. And all that is used for is, like this one is if I need a, you know, a flat spot on this side for a dolly and the metal in between. And then I have a little, little high spot, little tit sticking up. You take this little tit here and you can knock it down. And it was the exact same hammer as this one here. So was this one. But it works out good, you know? I mean, by modding your hammers and taking junk hammers and making your own, it works out great. I made this one years ago. Same thing, probably, shoot, I don't know, 30 years ago or something. And this is one of my favorite hammers. I love this thing because of this nice crisp edge. Actually, I'll set this over here to show you what I'm talking about. And then it has a pick on the other side. But this one here, this was a ball peen hammer, just a regular ball peen hammer, and I turned it into a cross peen style. So this was identical to this here. And what I did is I cut this at an angle, and then I have another one that I have it where it's going the other angle. And then this one here has been sharpened down to a pick style. So like I'm saying, you could pick up cheap ball peen hammers and mod them into body hammers. You know, you don't have to spend $1,000. Like this hammer here on the Snap-on truck, 110 bucks. This one here was 80 bucks. You know, I'm not gonna pay that for them, but I mean, it's ridiculous that they charge that much for them, but it's nice when you can just take some old crappy junk garage sale style hammers that you have, throw a handle on them and mod them out, you know, and make them the way you want. And then use the hell out of them. You know, they work just the same. And then this one here was a ball peen hammer, and I welded like a metal slug to it. And then what I use that for is, you know, when you have a spot that you need to get into, or you want it like a long spot, or if you're doing body lines in a car, it's nice to have that shape like that. And sometimes I'll hit this on the backside with another hammer, which I know you're not supposed to do, but I don't care. It works, you know, where you can get the shapes in the metal. But let me get the tripod set up and I'll show you some other stuff. So the hammers that are flat, you got a flat side here, you know, that's for moving metal around or whatever, or running it with a dolly. You know, don't get me wrong, you can run a dolly on the back side of this too with a piece of metal in between and knock some dents out. But you can see the radius that this has on it, that I made on it. And that's another thing you can use that for, is when you're hitting metal, you can start stretching that metal so you can start rounding it. You know, if you want to get a panel with just a real easy radius, or you can use that with the beater bag and put the beater bag. I'll do that a lot of times. I'll put the beater bag underneath the panel that I'm building, and then it'll help stretch that panel up like this, so you can get a nice round, you know, clean radius with that rounded off hammer. And this will be kind of loud. I'm gonna do some banging on some sheet metal, and I'll kind of show you some samples real quick. So by taking the different kind of hammers, you know, you could build a whole car with nothing but the hammers and, you know, ingenuity, just patience, and then take some slugs of metal, like this one right here. This is a metal with just a divot in it, And I got this years ago at a guy was having like a swap meet yard sale thing. And he was a guy that made like some gun parts or something. And I'm not sure what he used this for, but he had this there and I got it for like $1. And it was just cool. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like, you know, if you're gonna do a body line in something, like I said, you know, I take these hammers that I made, like here's that ball peen hammer, and you can see the shape quickly. You could quickly add with a dolly, you know, a vise and a piece of metal. You know, you can quickly do body lines and stuff. And it doesn't mean you have to do it right here. You know, if you have a big piece of metal like this, you know, that's real big, you could walk it. If you have the lines drawn on it, you could walk it and knock those with a hammer and dolly. You can knock those shapes into that. But other hammers, like this one here, you know, there's so many different ways that you can use them. And then this one doesn't get into the corners too good. So then what I would do is I'd grab my other hammer, or like I said, make some hammers that you can get into the corners with. And you can see it's got that bend on it. Flip it around, use the other end. Go back to the straight hammer. And you can do all kinds of, you know, the possibilities are endless with hammers. And that's why I have so many hammers. And that's, you know, a lot of guys tease me about it stuff, but I think it's fun. You know, I love to be able to take and make shapes with hammers, make fenders and doors and hoods and whatever. And it's just a blast being able to, you know, to be able to take all those shapes and whatever, or those hammers, and make those shapes and you know, build something out of scrap metal or sheet metal or whatever. You know, there's just so many different possibilities. And I won't get into it, but you know, if a guy has like some tin snips and basic hand tools, you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars of fabrication tools to build something badass. You need this right here and this right here, and just patience, which I have none of. But, you know, I come into the shop and, you know, I like to do stuff, you know, like working on this car that I'm building and stuff. It really helps my head, so I can get in here and just go away from everything, and I concentrate on stuff. So that's kind of like a, you know, something that I have to do. But the other thing is you have other style hammers, which are slapper hammers or slapper dollies or slapper spoons. There's a million names for them. And you know, I've heard them called all kinds of different stuff. And these are all your most basic style is like this. These are slapper spoons, slapper dollies, slapper hammers, whatever you want to call them. And like, these are made so that you can have a dolly with a piece of metal right here, and you're slapping that. You know, slapping that slapper dolly, slapper hammer. And what it does, when you're like Caton on Instagram, I was talking to him, I think it was this morning, and I'll actually do a video if I can, if I get the time, on slapper hammers, because he was asking me the difference. But the most difference is on the hammers, when you hit, you know, the blow is concentrated right here, the size of the head. And then the difference is when you're using a slapper hammer, when you hit like this, it spreads that blow out. And it's the same thing. It's like freaking snake oil. A lot of guys don't think slapper hammers do anything, but I'm telling you, they're badass. If you get some body file slapper hammers and some and some of this steel blue layout fluid, machinist dye, spray that stuff on there, and you got the highs and lows. And what'll happen is you start slapping that stuff where all those dents and dings and, you know, bad parts are on that fender or the door or whatever you're working on. And what'll happen is eventually those high spots will go down to the low spots and they'll meet. And what happens is when this slapper hammer is hitting, it's slapping, see the area that it's covering? You know, it's almost the size of my hand. So what it's doing is it's spreading that panel out when you're holding the dolly behind it. And then what happens is eventually it'll get so perfect that you won't have any highs or lows. It'll be a perfect panel. And it's amazing. And the blue layout fluid, what that's for is you run your file on it, and then it'll show you the highs and lows. It'll show you either have to go high here, so you would come behind the panel and beat it out, or you have a low here where, you know, vice versa. You have to get on this side of the panel and beat it the other way. I hope I'm explaining myself right. But anyways, these are homemade slapper hammers that I made myself. And this is actually one of my favorite ones. I was using this one yesterday a lot for like 5 hours. Here's another one that's homemade. And these are all just made out of like tire bars or tire irons or whatever the hell you want to call them. This one's another one that I made years ago. And it's just an old crappy slapper. But I made this one so that, you know, it's not for short stuff. Like if I have to get up into a panel, I got to hold the dolly like this. I can get up there and slap it. And it's just a straight bar, you know. Here's another one. And this is a store-bought one. I've had this for like 30 years. And it's, you know, same thing. You're slapping like this. And then the other thing that I catch myself using it for is like, I'll grab this, I'll stick the sheet metal in there. And it just makes it nice where you can either bend down or bend up, you know, if you need to bend a panel up or whatever. If you're trying to straighten some metal and you're slapping it with a dolly underneath. There's all kinds of different slapper hammers though, and all kinds of different, sorry about that, all kinds of different body hammers. I could go on and on and on for hours because I have so many hammers. And what I'll do is I'm going to try to do for Caton. I hope I'm saying your name right, because I'm sorry if I'm not. Caton or Catton, I'm not sure. He's in Canada. Hopefully one day I'll get to meet the guy. And I was just talking to him on Instagram yesterday, but appreciate that, bro. What I'll do is I'll try to do a video one of these days with the different dollies and hammer techniques and stuff. And I think that'd be pretty interesting for people that don't know how to do it. And don't get me wrong, I don't know how to do everything. I'm still learning. And like Gene Winfield says, every day's a school day. If you quit learning, then you know too much. You might as well just go home. You know, there's always some cool techniques that I learn and some tricks and tips and, you know, all these kind of different ways of doing things. And that is exciting to me. And that's what keeps me doing it. And I like to, like when I'm at swap meets, flea markets, and car shows and stuff, I'm always looking for different hammers and whatever. And then usually me and Paco are fighting over them. He'll run up and say, "Ha, bitch, I got this one." And I'll be like, "Oh man, come on." And then I'll be like, "Ha, I got 3 more." We're always going back and forth over hammers. Because he does the same thing I do. He's building custom cars and he has a body shop and all that good stuff. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. I don't want this video to drag on and on and on and whatever. I just wanted it to be a short video, and I see we're already at like 10 minutes or something. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Please hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video. Later.